Hi, it's time for a Blizzard update. On the 12th of October 2019, Blizzard Entertainment at long last issued a formal response to the controversy they had stoked up by banning a Hearthstone Grandmaster professional player following the expression of a political viewpoint in a post-match interview. The statement has attracted widespread criticism from a number of YouTubers, and again I would like to give a shout out to Heel vs Babyface, Yong Ye and The Quartering, who have all suggested that this statement is not as honest as it could have been. So what I want to do is I want to have a look at the official Blizzard response, which you will find on the left hand side of the screen, and the version of the response which I think they perhaps should have issued, or would be a more honest issue, which is on the right hand side of the screen. Okay, here we go. Hello Blizzard community. I want to take a few minutes to talk to all of you about the Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament this past weekend. On Monday, we made the decision to take action against a player named blitzchung and two shoutcasters. What on earth are shoutcasters? I don't know. After the player shared his views on what's happening in Hong Kong on our official broadcast channel. At Blizzard, our vision is to bring the world together through epic entertainment, and we have core values that apply here. Think globally. No, I think what they meant there was think China. Lead responsibly. I think that was probably should be make lots of cash. And more importantly, every voice matters. Encouraging everyone to share their point of view. No, that is definitely every voice matters, but those who pay us the most have the most important voice. The actions that we took over the weekend are causing people to question if we are still committed to these values. We absolutely are, and I will explain. The original version, I really question whether they were still committed to those values, but the ones I've just put in there, I do now believe Blizzard are absolutely committed to them. So that makes more sense. Let's carry on. Our esports programs are an expression of our vision and our values. Yes, they make lots of cash. They're a vehicle for you to get into the Chinese market. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Esports exist to create opportunities for players around the world from different cultures and from different backgrounds to come together to compete and share their passion for gaming. To come together and give us lots of cash for our products. Yes, that's better. And give us lots of cash for our games. It is extremely important to us to protect these revenues and the purpose they serve, to enrich the directors and the shareholders, to bring the world together through epic entertainment, celebrate our players and build large share value and dividends for our stockholders. As to how these values apply in this case, first, our official esports tournament broadcast was used as a platform for a winner of this event to share his views with the world. That is what broadcasting to the world is about. It's about sharing something with the world. Okay. We interview competitors who are at the top of their craft to share how they feel. Yes, and that's what blitzchung did. We want to experience that moment with them. Hearing their excitement is a powerful way to bring us together and to get more people paying for our games. outfit. Over the weekend, blitzchung used his segment to make a statement about the situation in Hong Kong, in violation of rules he acknowledged and understood, and this is why we took action. I don't think there are that many people who are actually arguing with Blizzard's right to take action when they see a violation of tournament rules. I think what a lot of people have taken exception to is what kind of action they have taken in stripping him of prize money, banning him for a year, and then following up with the suppression of any other comments that have been made about the Hong Kong situation. If they'd have just slapped his wrist, suspended him for a couple of months with a very clear warning as to future behaviour, I don't think they would have had anything like the backlash they've had with this. Every voice matters, and we strongly encourage everyone in our community to share their viewpoints in the many places available to express themselves. Well, that is complete and utter BS when you think about what they've just said. You know, strongly encourage everyone in our community to share their viewpoints in the many places available to express themselves. And frankly, maybe that needs to be put in there. But on the one hand, you can't say that, you know, somebody making a statement about how they feel is a breach of rules and then saying, you know, they strongly encourage everyone in our community to share their viewpoints in the many places available to express themselves. Because that's what he did. You gave him a voice, you gave him an outlet, and he took it. However, the official broadcast needs to be about the tournament and to be a place where all are welcome. In support of that, we want to keep the official channels focused on the game. Yeah, I can understand that. Second, what is the role of shoutcasters for these broadcasts? Yeah, please do tell me, because shoutcasters is a word I've not heard of before. We hire shoutcasters to amplify the excitement of the game. They elevate the watchability and help the esports viewing experience stay focused on the tournament and our amazing players. Okay, fair enough. Third, were our actions based on the content of the messages? Part of thinking Chinese, leading responsibility, and every voice matters is recognising that we have players and fans in almost every country in the world. But some are more important because that's where your money lies. That's why you've produced Diablo Immortal for the mobile and have completely ignored your PC base who've been crying out for a Diablo 4 for many, many years. So you're not treating everybody equally in that regard. Our goal is to help players connect in areas of commonality like their passion for our games and to create a sense of shared community. Well, you've certainly done that with the latest action, because that shared sense of community is very strong now in people uniting behind blitzchung and saying freedom of speech overrules everything else. The specific views expressed by blitzchung were not a factor in the decision we made. I want to be clear, our relationships in China had no influence on our decision. That is utter garbage. And the reason I say that is utter garbage is because of the statement put out by the Chinese branch of Blizzard, which talks about being angered and shocked and that they will do whatever they can to defend the dignity of our country, China. You cannot have it both ways and have an official part of Blizzard issuing a statement like that and then coming up with this BS that says our relationships in China had no influence on our decision. We simply do not believe you. We really don't. We have these rules to keep the focus on the game and on the tournament to the benefit of a global audience, and that was the only consideration in the actions we took. No, I don't believe you. You were looking after your Chinese investors. You were looking after your financial interests in China. You see, I'm going to pause the statement at this point and just go back to 18 months or so ago when there was a huge controversy about Ubisoft changing some of the in-game items in Rainbow Six Siege in response to criticism from Chinese censors. And I haven't got a copy of it now, but there is a whole list of things that the Chinese censors produced that relating to a number of games, which said some were not approved for sale in China because of inappropriate clothing or inappropriate images like skeletons and blood, and also because they had chat rooms and chat facilities which enabled people to say things that the Chinese censors did not like. So this is not something that's new. There has been an ongoing battle between Western games companies and Chinese censors as to what actually goes into those games. So you're not thinking about the benefit of a global audience. You're very much wanting to make sure that your games, because World of Warcraft was one of the games criticised on that list, but you want to make sure your games are suitable for the Chinese audience. And you just need to be honest and come out and say that, because that's what we all know is at the root of all of this. If you weren't that bothered about what China is saying, you would not have changed a whole host of card images in Hearthstone to remove icons that the Chinese find offensive, but the rest of the world doesn't. You've been pandering to the Chinese market now for months and months and months, and this really doesn't wash that wasn't a consideration in the action you took. If this had been the opposing viewpoint delivered in the same divisive and deliberate way, we would have felt and acted the same. So what you're saying, that if he'd have turned around and said, suppress the protests, bring Hong Kong back under Chinese control, you would have taken the same action? Do me a favour. I don't believe that for 1 minute. Okay, what could Blizzard have done better, and where do we go from here? Over the past few days, many players, casters, esports fans and employees have expressed concerns about how we determine the penalties. We've had a chance to pause, to listen to our community and to reflect on what we could have done better. In hindsight, our process wasn't adequate and reacted too quickly. Why do we always get apologies with the benefit of hindsight? I am sick and tired of people taking an action, making a comment, saying something that has upset people, and then rolling back when the PR people have told them it ain't good business for you to be saying that, and come out with oh, we're sorry, with hindsight. No, you should have had situations in place to either make it clear to people that they have to stick to comments about the game and the tournament, or that they have the freedom to say whatever they like. To go back and say, oh, well, we've listened to our community and reflected on what we could have done better. You're worried because you know this backlash is going to cost you money. We want to ensure that we maintain a safe and inclusive environment for all our players and that our rules and processes are clear. What does that mean? And maintain a safe and inclusive environment for all our players? What about your players in Hong Kong that are getting tear gassed by the Hong Kong police? What about your players that are getting shot with rubber bullets? Is that a safe and inclusive environment for them? I think not. And maybe a comment in a Hearthstone tournament and the reaction you've done pales into insignificance to what's actually going on in that area. And maybe you need a bit of perspective on all of this, Blizzard. Maybe you do. Play nice, play fair. Yeah, okay, fair enough. In the tournament itself, blitzchung played fair. What's the emphasis on played? Are you being sarcastic about this? No, you're making a distinction between played fair and the discussion afterwards. We now believe he should receive his prizing. Oh, well done. We understand that for some, this is not about the prize. No, it's not about the prize at all. And perhaps for others, it is disrespectful to even discuss it. I don't even know what that means. But playing fair also includes appropriate pre- and post-match conduct, especially when a player accepts recognition for winning in a broadcast. When we think about the suspension, 6 months for blitzchung is more appropriate, after which time he can compete in the Hearthstone Pro Circuit again if he chooses. I actually think 6 months is too long. Maybe a couple of weeks would have been enough to put a slap across the wrists and to tell him about his future behaviour. There is a consequence for taking the conversation away from the purpose of the event and disrupting or derailing the broadcast. Okay, fair enough, I can accept that. With regard to the casters, remember their purpose is to keep the event focused on the tournament. That didn't happen here, and we're setting their suspension to 6 months as well. Again, why not just set it to a couple of weeks for a slap across the wrist? Moving forward, we will continue to apply tournament rules to ensure our official broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social or political views. That in itself, divisive and social or political views, is a totally subjective comment. Because what is clearly divisive in China is anything but divisive somewhere else in the world. And if you're going to start judging people on what you regard as divisive social or political views, you need to say what the hell those things are. And you need to be very, very clear in telling people what lines they can and cannot cross in your view. One of our goals at Blizzard is to make sure that every player everywhere in the world, regardless of political views, religious beliefs, race, gender or any other consideration, always feels safe and welcome both competing in and playing our games. Again, I don't know what you mean by that. What is unsafe about somebody making a comment supporting Hong Kong protests in a post-tournament interview? How is that creating danger for your players? Please explain that, because I'm really struggling with that one. At Blizzard, we are always listening and finding ways to improve. It is part of our culture. Thank you for your patience with us as we continue to learn. Sincerely, J. Allen Brack, President of Blizzard Entertainment. Well, all I can say to all of that is it's not enough. I'm still not going to reinstate the Blizzard games on my PC and Xbox, and I'm still not going to be buying anything Blizzard related ever in the future, because I actually think this statement is largely BS. Thank you for watching.